What is up, guys? Welcome back to Fully Spooled. Last week we got the engine wiring harness installed as well as the computer right here. And in my heat-broiled brain, I thought this would be totally fine to install the computer by strapping it down to the tunnel like this. But there are two issues with this, and some people actually commented on my post saying these exact issues. One of which is it's possible that the computer could come loose, like if I'm doing a hard braking, it could slide forwards and maybe get behind the pedals or who knows what. I mean, even though it's like pretty solidly mounted in there, it is possible because it's not actually mounted to the frame, itself. It's just kind of held in place by this bracket that it could slide around. So that's one issue. The bigger issue is that there's no anti-vibration dampening going on with this. It's just every single vibration from the car is going to go straight to the computer, and everything inside is going to be rattling around like crazy. So today's plan is to go through, remove all this stuff, and then remount it in a more secure way that will better handle vibrations. So to deal with this vibration situation, I went on Amazon and picked up these little vibration isolators, which will help, keep the vibrations under control by having these two little bolts mounted in between rubber. So these will keep the vibrations to a minimum. And I also went and picked up the factory mount for the GM computer, which has these little holes mounted, or these little holes already molded into it on the bottom, which are mounting holes. So if I just attach my computer like the way it went from the factory, like this, now I have three little mounting holes already attached to the bottom of this bracket. So now it's mounted firmly in place. And then I decided it'd be best to use the factory kick panel, or the factory mount for the factory computer that goes on the floor of the passenger side of the car. So if I just kind of mount this guy up here somehow, kind of like this, and then I put my little isolation dampeners underneath this, and then just screw some holes, I hopefully will have a nice solid mount that also will take care of the vibrations. So it goes like this, where this is up in the car. So I need to have my wires coming in this way into the top of this. So if I mount this like this makes the most sense. And then I can probably use this factory hole down here. So if I pop in an isolator like that. So now we have this mounted really firmly in there. If I pop that on there, I just gotta drill two more holes for two more mounts and we should be good to go. Alright, so here we have our new unit all hooked up here. Actually, you know what, before I do that, let's put the ECU back together again. I don't know, a wrench that has a 1/4 wrench on one side and 3/8 inch on the other side, is there anything better than that? It's so crazy handy to have. Anyway, here we go. Cool, there we have it. All mounted up. So now we have plenty of room under here for air to get through, actually under here and under here. So we have this metal piece which flexes a little bit, which will have a little bit of vibration dampening. Then we have our actual rubber vibration dampeners. Now you can see the ECU actually moves a lot on its own, but it is firmly mounted in place. There's no way vibrations or hopefully heat will have any problem going forward. I may even actually be able to reuse this piece as well if I do some trimming on the plastic to kind of cover everything over. But I'm going to have to cut this whole middle piece out in order for that to work. But right now it's not that big of a deal. I don't think anyone's going to have their feet up here anytime soon, but later on, eventually, once I actually have enough skill to have a passenger in the car as well, then maybe I will get this guy all set up to fit over that. But in the meantime, I'm going to call the computer all mounted up. This is actually a lot harder than I thought it would be, finding homes for all these little electronics. This goes to the automatic transmission, so that I'm just going to kind of zip tie out of the way. And then for the actual main harness line here, it makes the most sense with this mounted down here to kind of go up and over and out of the way like that. And then that leaves my fuse box here and my OBD2, or I guess it's still OBD2, my little like data plug. And then I guess wires for gauges, which are long enough to go all the way up and around, no problem, to my gauge cluster. But in terms of like figuring out what to do with this stuff, I might just put my fuse box here and get some self-tapping screws maybe to hold that in place on the wall there, like that. Hopefully you can see it in the camera. And that leaves my data plug, which has to reach my gauge cluster or close to it, I think. So maybe I'll just kind of put that up here, kind of wire it up along this inner side here and up top there, just out of the way. Okay, so the fuse box is installed. Looks pretty good, very sturdy. I got to just kind of figure out what to do with this, which is the OBD2 diagnostics port, which I think I'm just going to kind of run, let's see, up. I could do it two ways, but I think I'm just going to run it up here to the support bar underneath the dash and kind of just zip tie it up there for now, and I'll figure that out later on, but that seems to be the best bet. I assume these are all gauge wires. I gotta look it up in the directions, but I'm pretty sure. So these will all go up here and then along the top to the gauge cluster. Alright, so here's the wiring from the driver's position, and this is all the gauge wiring right here that goes behind the dash along the crash bar all the way over to this side. So on the passenger floor over here we have our computer all mounted up, obviously. Check out this dampening. This is actually, I'm really happy with how that turned out. So it's all mounted up solidly. It will not go anywhere no matter how hard I brake or anything, but also because it has these little rubber isolators, it's going to be absorbing all of that vibration, so we should be in good shape there. Then we have the wiring going up here, which is not exactly the cleanest wiring I could have done, but it is up out of the way. And I will say I have seen pro cars look messier than this, so I think I'm okay with that. And then we have our fuse box mounted up here with self-tapping screws, and that's nice and solid. And then we have our wiring going up here, the gauge wires like I just showed you, and then the OBD2 diagnostic support as well. And then we grounded the whole harness off right here on this bolt. And then this, I think, is our power cable, which I will have to wire up later on once I do the rest of the wiring for the body. So there we have it. Oh yeah! I'd say that's pretty clean, right? Yeah, I'd say it's pretty clean. Now before I actually start the engine up for the first time, I'm going to go through and get a little metal bracket to kind of put around here to kind of close this hole down, because that goes into the engine bay. That's where the AC used to go through, and now it's just my wiring pass through. And then over here where you can see the tire, I'm going to make a little bracket for there as well and use these little factory holes to bolt a cover on there as well. So I'll have that covered up, and then I'll have that covered up, and then I got to actually cover this little hole right there too. Actually, this is crazy. This is actually a ring or something from the previous owner. I'm still finding stuff in this car. I mean, what, 2 years later almost? That is ridiculous. and kind of funny. Alright guys, that wraps up this episode. Thanks as always for watching. I'm really happy with how my computer's mounted up now. I took care of that crappy mounting I had before, and it's all anti-vibration and ready to go. I was going to start working on wiring up the body, like the headlights and taillights and stuff, but I think I want to hear the engine start. So I'm going to get this guy all wired up so I can at least have my ignition and the computer and everything ready to go. And my goal now is to just focus on getting the engine started. So that's going to be coming up pretty soon here. Next episode will probably be getting this guy wired up with the computer and the engine, and then yeah, that's it. I want to hear this thing start. I've had the engine now for years. Honestly, I think I bought it in like 2013 or something. So I've had it for a long time, and I've never heard it run. So that's going to be coming up pretty soon. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more Fully Spooled. Like I said, there's a lot more coming up. Check out my social media links at the end of the video. And if you enjoy this kind of stuff, like the video and maybe subscribe. And I'll see you next time.